Hi everyone, welcome to another TMR podcast. Today we have a very special guest. She is well known for a breakout role in NSR as the voice of Mayday and is recently the first ever Malaysian voice actor to be casted for the English dub for the anime Kageki Shojo by Funimation. In Funimation, sorry. Please welcome Su Ling Chan.
Hi.
Woo! Hi, how are you?
Good, good. Thanks for inviting me and having me on the show.
You're welcome. Congratulations again for being the first ever voice actor, right? So, being the first ever voice actor to be casted in the Funimation English dub for Kage Sojo, you were put in the shoes of Akia's mom. And
Yep.
so, the big burning question that everybody has, like, let's start with the biggest question that everybody have. How did it all started and how did you get casted for the role? Like in your experience,
Okay.
like, did you have to go through interviews? Or did they even just find you being the celebrity you are?
No, hardly. Okay. So this entire thing started exactly almost 1 year ago. 1 year and a month. Like this whole thing has literally been starting from a year and a month ago. So basically, what happened was Marissa Lenti, who is one of the casting directors at Sound Cadence, which is a dubbing studio. So Funimation, what they do is that they get a couple of studios to also like help dub content for them. So they also dub their use their own studios to dub, and then they outsource to some to other studios. So Sound
Mm-hmm.
Cadence is one of those studios. So Marissa Lenti, the casting director, posted a public tweet looking for new talent, and she had very specific requirements. She said that, "Hi, I'm looking to be introduced to new talent. I would like to find talent who do dubs in two languages." And I'm like, "Hey,
Hey,
that's me.
hey,
I do I do dubs in official capacity in two languages. I do in Malay dan bahasa Malaysia pun boleh lah.
yeah.
Ya.
That
Dua-dua pun boleh.
yeah.
Kita ni boleh pasti cakap bahasa Malaysia tahu.
That's an
So,
advantage for like basically every Malaysian voice actor, right? We by right
yeah,
already have two languages in our
correct.
repertoire.
Yeah, I'm lame. I'm only bilingual, you know. I know people who are like trilingual and quadruple lingual and I don't know, like Mandarin, Hokkien, Cantonese, Malay, English. I'm like,
Yeah,
I need
yeah.
to know Malay and English and like enough Cantonese to order. And and learning enough pinyin to pronounce Genshin Impact names.
But that is already
So,
like five times more than I have, and as a
yeah.
failed Chinese as a banana in Malaysia, like that's already like way more than I already have. Okay,
Yeah.
so you saw this tweet, right?
Yeah.
And so you responded to the tweet.
Yeah, so she said, send me some samples of your dubbing work and get in touch with me. Here's my email. So I sent her some of my previous dubbing work, and she looked at it and she was like, "Oh, this is actually pretty cool." And Sound Cadence has a public roster that anyone actually can fill up. So if you just Google Sound Cadence Studios, they
Oh,
have a talent submission form. So actually anyone can sign up for it. But she did ask me to fill it up, and she said in the notes section, please state that I, Marissa Lenti, asked you, Su Ling Chan, to fill this form up because of this tweet on, I think, 10 September 2020.
uh,
And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess that's a footnote that's gonna get me like straight into the roster.
by like cutting
Uh,
everyone else down, like jumping straight to the
no.
front. No.
No, I heard nothing. I heard nothing for like months. I was like, oh, okay, I don't know, whoever is evaluating on the other side just didn't like my stuff. I don't know. I have no idea. So I didn't get any auditions. I didn't get any auditions until April. So I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I filled this up in September 2020, and it was only in April 2021 that I finally started getting auditions. So it does take a while. Even
Wow.
if there is a person recommending you, it does take a long while. But in the meantime, like what did I do between September to April? I didn't rest on my laurels because I was like, oh, okay, if one door is not opening, maybe I can do other stuff. So I was, for myself personally, I was training a lot, in the
Yeah.
sense like I was taking a lot of workshops,
Mhm.
taking a lot of coaching from voice actors. I did a ton of workshops because all the American workshops are on Zoom. So I took like
Oh.
Crispin Freeman's class. I took Rachel Messner's class, and I did some personal coaching with her. I did some personal coaching with Richard Tatum. I did some lots of other workshops. Yeah, that was like a lot. Patrick Seitz, Wendy Lee. So these are like quite famous American voice artists, and
Right.
like they have workshops. So that's basically what I was doing. Like I was in a workshop almost like once a month. I would attend a workshop, and I also joined a couple of workout groups. So it's basically like there's these Discord servers where they like collect a whole bunch of voice actors, and then like we meet like every once a week, twice a week, depending on the server, and then we just read scripts together and give critiques to each other and just try to help improve our acting. So I
So
did a lot of that. I was part of like two or three workout groups at one point.
so that is like
So I
an improv group for voice actors. Like
pretty much,
pretty much,
yeah,
right? Right? So that
yeah, 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 yeah.
you can train, you can practice, without actually getting into the work.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the workout groups that I joined had like people of all levels. So like some very new beginners,
Mhm.
some very seasoned veterans, and some mid-level people. So it was really great. I was able to practice my anime dubbing skills, my American accent,
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff, and blah 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 blah. And then Kageki Shojo auditions happened sometime in August 2021, and I was like, "Oh, Kageki Shojo," because I was actually quite familiar with the manga and the anime because I'm a huge Takarazuka fan.
Mhm.
So the whole show is based on Takarazuka, and I love Takarazuka. My favorite Takarazuka is Phantom, which was the first one I watched,
Mhm.
and obviously Rose of Versailles and Elizabeth, and I really like the latest one that they have, which is Anastasia the musical. So I was a huge Takarazuka fan. Like my favorite otokoyaku is Yoko Wow. I love her so much. So when I got the audition for Kageki Shoujo, I was like, ooh, okay, I
Oh.
need to do this. So I actually worked to get work on the audition with several of my coaches
Mhm.
and mentors. I really owe them a lot for helping me give me feedback and things like that. Shout out to Dusty Feeney, who is one of them that I can publicly say thank you so much, Dusty, for helping me with my audition. So I sent that in, and I thought, okay, this I felt really good about the audition. I thought it was probably one of the best auditions that I've done in the entire time I've been auditioning with Sound Cadence.
Like
And then I
how
didn't hear anything.
like it seems to be like very common even for actors and voice actors. I guess it's exactly the same where you go in for one
Yeah.
audition, you do not hear anything for months and months and months, and you thought you
Yeah.
didn't get the role, but you were actually casted for the role, and then you hear about it like 6 months later. So like I've heard that auditions you shouldn't put that
Yeah.
much like expectation and hopes because it's very common to
Yeah.
get rejected. So how many
Yeah.
auditions like you can give me a rough number in between? Like how many?
Oh, I did. Okay, and this is like roles lah, because in a production there'll be like three or four roles,
Yeah.
and I generally like to flex my acting muscle and try to challenge myself by doing at least two roles. Unless there's only one female character or something like that lah. So I've done in an entire year 800 auditions. Like from last year to this year, 800 auditions.
800.
Yeah,
Wow. That's
yeah,
that's that's like man, I can't do math. Couple auditions a week, more than six, maybe
yeah,
seven a week.
yeah,
Damn,
yeah.
that's a very competitive
Yeah,
Very
I
frequently.
did a lot. I did a lot. Also because, Malaysia was in a total lockdown for so long. There's nothing to do. You can't go anywhere. You might as well do auditions at home.
That is the benefit
So,
of voice acting, right? Because you can practice at home, you can do audition for jobs at home, you can even record at home, right?
yeah,
Right,
absolutely.
right. So, um, what tools do you need for an aspiring voice actor? Like, can I just do this with like
Okay.
the mic I have now, with my headset? Would this voice be good enough to be put into an audition reel for Funimation? Funimation?
No, no.
Oh, come on.
Okay, okay. So one of the things that you need to have is a proper home studio setup. I'm in my booth right now. And I set this booth up over a course of nearly a year, and I just upgraded it slowly and slowly and slowly. But you need to have at the very least an XLR mic. You need to have an XLR mic. Um, what grade of XLR mics? It varies. I know some professionals that still use a AT2020, which is about I think 600 ringgit or 500 ringgit. I think around that price. I know some people who use a Rode NT1, which is about 1,300 ringgit. My mic is a Blue Baby bottle, which is my baby here. She costs around 2,300 ringgit, and this is considered a mid-range mic. So I've heard people dubbing at Funimation with an AT2020. So, at the very least, it needs to be an XLR mic. But more importantly, actually, instead of the mic, is the sound treatment that you do for your room. So, you need to have two requirements. You need to have soundproofing. Basically, soundproofing means the outside sound coming in. And then you need to have sound absorption, which is basically how dry your vocals or your voice sounds like in the raw audio. So sound absorbing absorbs the reverb and the echoes from your voice. So these are at minimum the two things that you need to address when you do remote VO recording. So my setup is quite plain. I have a PVC booth that is made out of 8 moving blankets. So I literally have double layer on like all 4 sides of my booth. So that's why it's like around 8, and 2 on the top. So and I made a PVC frame, and I just put the moving blankets around. The thing about this booth is that it's only good for the second, which is the sound absorption. It's really good to absorb reverb and echoes, but that's it. It
Right,
doesn't really cut down noise from the outside. That's a
right,
whole different story. That's soundproofing.
right. So
So
let's take a look.
yeah,
You sent me a picture earlier of
yes, I
how
did.
it looks like. So this is how it looks like. Like,
Yes,
um, not gonna lie, it does look a little janky, but if animation approves it, then it
yeah,
must work, right? So
yeah.
like,
I mean, um, what you don't see or you can't tell is that the windows are soundproofed. So the windows is what was expensive. So this whole entire booth cost me like 600 ringgit. 50 ringgit for each blanket, so like 8 times 50, and then the PVC pipes are like,
right,
I don't know,
they
90 bucks,
just
connectors, blah 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 blah. So roughly around 500-600 ringgit lah.
they just need to
Okay?
absorb sound from your end, but it doesn't
Yeah,
stop
they just
sound from the outside.
no. You're learning so fast. Very good. So yes, so the windows, on the other hand, are 4,000 ringgit. I invested 4,000 ringgit to soundproof my windows, and my windows are basically triple pane. So this means that there's 3 layers to cut down the sound. So the windows themselves are double pane. So there's 2 glasses and an air in between the 2 glasses. And then I have another acrylic sheet layer, 2 inches away from the window, and that creates another air pocket, making it triple layer. So right now, my booth is relatively soundproof. The only thing that sound that gets in is airplanes lah. Cannot help lah.
That one
Airplane
cannot.
go over the house. Yeah, airplane go over the house. Like, I cannot help lah. Okay, that one cannot help.
Airplane engine too powerful already. So,
Yeah.
so you're telling me that one glass I'm looking at, that one picture of that one glass window that you gave me, that
Yeah.
cost you $5,000.
Roughly around there, like I would say about 4,500. It was about actually it is 3,900, and then about 700 ringgit for the acrylic sheets. Give you about 4,600. Yeah, but it's 3 windows. Not that one window. I have 3 windows in the room. Yeah.
Oh, because I was
No, no,
thinking
no.
like, if that is 5,000 and my
No, no,
window
no.
size is
No,
easily
no.
3-4 times more than you, it's all over my room.
No. That is only one window. There's only a picture of one window. There's 2 windows behind the actual booth and another
Right.
window on the other side. So in total,
see.
there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the cost of 4 windows. So okay lah, it's roughly about 1,000 for per window lah. Yeah.
Well,
so okay lah, not bad
For a
lah.
full-time VA, I guess, that is
Yeah.
at the very least your minimum requirement that you need to get prepared.
Yeah, because the thing is, when you have a live session, so all these things are live. You can't have like birds going, motorcycle coming, kereta lalu, people talking, dog, wow. Yeah, you can't have all that. I mean,
You
because
have an organic car.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. You can't really have all that in the background because it would be like it wouldn't be good for the, what's the word for it? It wouldn't be good for the recording session anyway, and then it would be too noisy and stuff like that. So at the very least you need it to be quite quiet. But having said that, I actually record with my US clients. So Funimation, Sound Cadence is not the only US studio I've worked with. I've worked with other US studios, but for other jobs, not anime
Right.
related, not at all. Very boring corporate kind of stuff. So usually I would arrange my sessions at 6 in the morning because I feel that 6 in the morning is the best time and it's the most quietest.
Yeah.
It's totally dead silence. And the internet is so good. It's like you can get like 100 download at 6 a.m. because no one is using it.
Everyone is asleep. It's closer to my
Exactly.
bedtime than to my wake up time.
Exactly. So when I did Kageki Shojo, it was 6 in the morning as well.
And it also works for America because like some parts of America 6 is like maybe just 3 p.m. Am I right? Right? 3
Absolutely.
PM, 4 p.m.
Yep.
right?
Yep. So basically, my Los Angeles clients, I do it 6 a.m. So it's about 3 p.m. their time. Sound Cadence is Texas. So 6 a.m. is, I think, 7 p.m. their time. 3, 4. No. It's 5 p.m. their time. Yeah. So it's still okay. Yeah.
Okay. So you have gotten the audition. You have practiced
Yeah.
for the role of Akia's mom, right? Can you give me?
Actually, no. There's no practice. So I
There's
think
no
maybe we
practice.
should. No, I think we should probably discuss what the dubbing workflow and the whole process is before we get into
let's
that.
go into that.
Okay. So basically, what it's like is when I got the email that I got the email from Sound Cadence saying that, oh hey, the director would like to cast you for additional voices. Can we set a time for this? Then I'm like, okay, yay! And that's it. And so the thing about dubbing is that dubbing happens really, really fast. And most of the time it happens so fast that you don't even know what you're going to do in the session. And it's not just for the US, but dubbing locally in Malaysia is also the same. So I found actually that dubbing in Malaysia and the US is almost the same. I guess it's the same technical skills. The workflow seems to be the same. So basically, I'm very used to this because when I get called to the studio, the person who usually arranges it is a producer. And half the time, the producer may not even be familiar with what the director wants because changes happen so fast and so often.
You have to be
So-
be impromptu and be very quick.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't even bother when I got this job. I didn't even bother asking for what the role was or whatever because I know that's how dubbing is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm so used to dubbing. I've done so much dubbing in Malaysia, like 3 seasons of Bola Kampung, 2 seasons of Bobo Boy, and 1 season of Bola and 1 season of Bobo Boy Galaxy. Yeah, I've done a lot. Over a lot of quite a while. So I know the process and I know that it's very quick. So on the day, and the thing is that the producer who is arranging your sessions, she or he or they may not even know your character or your role because they're just assisting the director. Sometimes it's even the audio engineer, and sometimes you don't even know what's gonna happen on the day itself. Like the
Right.
script is not even ready except for the day itself. So that's very, very common, I guess, all over the world. So you go into the session. For sound cadence, we use Source Connect now. So I went in using Source Connect now, and then the director shows the script through Zoom, and we watch the clip through Zoom, and then we record. So that process is exactly the same in Malaysia. So when I get called to the studio in Malaysia to dub, I just show up. They give me the script, and then I'm asked to perform like 2 minutes later.
Wow.
I see the visual,
Right.
and then I get asked to perform 2 minutes later. So this process and flow is like the standard. Like you don't get any scripts beforehand. You don't get any pre-reads. None of that stuff. I guess both in the US and in Malaysia.
Right. So
I mean, I don't know. I don't know much. This is my only first experience with a US studio, but in Malaysia, that's like super common.
so it could be different for every other countries, but in your experience, that is how it's normally is done, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
correct. At least in Malaysia.
so you were given 2 minutes to figure out the role, figure out the voice. Do you remember your thought process in that 2 minutes? What were you thinking and what were you feeling when
Yeah,
you were
maybe
given
not
the
maybe
visual?
not really 2 minutes lah. Okay, so this is where a good director is very important for a dubbing project because the director's job is to actually give the actor enough context to form the character and to give context to the scene or what's happening in the scene. And then so that's probably around 2 minutes, 3 minutes. So Marissa took me through who Akia was, who Akia's mom is, and when this scene happens. But because I have been watching the show since I got caught, I did my homework, so I was quite familiar with the characters. So I kind of knew going in what was happening. Only because I watched the original Japanese one in preparation for the dubbing session. But nonetheless, even if you don't watch it, it's the director's job to brief you as the talent to what is happening in the scene and stuff like that. Because the other thing is, you don't watch, obviously, because time is money, you don't watch the entire show. You only watch that small snippet where you're going to voice. So you have no context of what is happened before, after. You don't even know where it is in the scene. So sometimes you don't have that luxury. Like in Malaysia, none of the stuff I do is publicly available yet until it gets released. So sometimes you don't have that luxury of like Kageki Shojo has already aired in Japan and you watch it. So like in Malaysia, sometimes it's just like bam, okay, yeah, sure.
You just got to
Tell
try
me.
to figure it out.
You
and
just
hope the
gotta
director likes it.
do it. Exactly. So then what happens is we will hear the scene, and then we'll say the line. So we'll have in the US they like to do 3 beeps and then you go. So what it does is like beep beep beep. Then you say your line. In Malaysia, we don't do that. So
Okay.
meaning that the scene just plays and you just come in. Yeah. I think that's kind of harder because as a
Yeah.
talent you gotta like look. But I don't know why we don't do the 3 beeps in Malaysia. I mean, we used
every
to.
second counts. Every second costs
Yeah,
money in
I
the
think
booth.
so.
They want
I
to
think so.
save every dollar they can have, but
So
it does make
I'm.
sense.
It does make sense, right? I personally am used to dubbing without the 3 beeps and just going at it, because that's that's kind of how they do it in Malaysia. So having the three beeps was a very nice experience because I was like, oh, okay, this makes coming in so much easier, honestly. So yeah, I wish they do it more in Malaysia, but they don't. I mean, some productions do. Most of them don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you say a line, and then what happens is the engineer will take the line, place it, and then the director will hear, and he or they would like give comments, and if it's good, then we move on to the next line, and we
Right.
move on to the next line. Yeah. You only have like a chance to do 2 or 3 takes max per line. Even then, it's better to get it in the first try. So
Yeah.
those are kind of the skills that is required for dubbing. I personally try to aim to get it in one. I always call it the
Of
one hit
course.
wonder.
Yeah, the one
I aim
take.
to try to get it. Yeah, one hit wonder. Sometimes you can get it. Sometimes you can do it, and sometimes you can't. So at least I try because I know for dubbing time is money. So but at the same time you cannot give up the performance. You can get like the most perfect timing, but if the performance is flat or anything, that still defeats the purpose. So
True, true.
there's a very fine line that you need to balance between timing as well as performance. So that is also another skill that you need to learn. Like
Yeah,
dubbing.
yeah, so
It's
these are
very
all very based on the experience of the voice actor, and
yeah.
like you mentioned, you have practiced during the downtime with others from other VAs. Like we have a question from the chat.
Yeah.
Izu Macri asks, what is the starter voice line to practice?
Oh, start a voice line to practice. Well, I guess it depends what you want to practice. If you want to practice diction and articulation, which is something a lot of Malaysians do struggle with, not gonna lie, even myself, Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss is amazing. Just pick
Oh,
up one
a
of his
classic.
books and try to do. Yeah, like socks. Oh man, that socks. I'm trying to Google it right now. Dr. Seuss socks. The socks. That socks poem. It is it's crazy. Yeah. So yeah, Dr. Seuss is great. You should practice lots of Dr. Seuss stuff.
Right. So
Yes.
like like we have obviously we haven't heard the voice, seeing as the English dub has not been released by Funimation yet. Can you
Oh,
give
it
us
is already actually released.
right? But we cannot
Episode 7 is out. Oh yeah, yeah.
we cannot access it from here.
Yeah, it's a little bit ironic, but I cannot watch the episode here because Funimation is not available in Malaysia. Actually, you're right. Betul lah kau.
Like, can you give us a voice sample that you did from
Oh
Kageki
yeah,
Shojo?
yeah, yeah. Okay. Yes, I can. It's funny really because when Marissa told me that you're gonna be playing Akia's mom, I was like, what? Akia's mom? I never get cast as mom roles like ever. I usually like have like the high pitched squeaky the Mayday voice that everyone knows me for, or Ying from Bobo Boy is usually the stuff that
Yeah.
I book all the time. So when she told me I was gonna go and do a mom, I was like, okay, sure. And she's like, no, don't worry, she's kind of a young mom because Akia is like 8 or 9. Yeah, I think 8 or 9. Yeah. So she's like, yeah, don't worry, she's a young mom, so you don't have to sound like superbly old. So yeah, so just to give some context to the scene, for those, just so that when I say the line, it kind of makes sense, is that the mom is just asking Akia how was practice, kabuki practice, and Akia comes from a lineage of very strong kabuki performers, and in Japan, kabuki is only done by men. It's only allowed to be done by men, so it's not allowed to be done by women. So the context of this scene is that her son Akia finally has an interest in kabuki, but the interest in kabuki is because of a girl. So
Oh.
the mom is a bit worried because she's like, she's a girl. She's not gonna be there like for very long. She's only practicing kabuki for fun, but she's not gonna be able, she's never gonna be able to perform kabuki because it's not allowed. So who knows how long this girl is gonna be there? And so that's why she's kind of worried that maybe she's like, okay, um, son, uh, remember she's a girl, like that. So, the whole scene kind of goes like, something like this. How was practice today? Was it good? Ah, oh, that sounds great. But you should remember, she's a girl. So yeah, it's very short, very sweet. It's just like something like that, lah. Okay,
But it
that's,
is
that's the whole thing.
really not a voice that I would expect coming from you because I'm really expecting something like from Mayday, you know.
I know, I was shocked myself when she said like, "Oh, you're going to be Akia's mom." I'm like, "Mom? I never, I never booked mom roles." So I'm really happy that I finally get to do a mom role. I'm like, "Yay! I get to do a mom role."
True,
So happy.
like flexibility is very important in any actor role or voice actor role. I think
Yes,
even more important in the
absolutely.
voice actor role. That gives you a
Yeah,
huge range of voices instead of being hard stuck on a certain role.
yeah. I wouldn't say it's about the voice really, but it's more like characterization and acting, the ability to bring a character to life, like whether it's a mom or a teenager or a office lady, or a shoujo protagonist, like Sailor Moon and stuff like that. You have to be able to craft the character really well. Like I know some actors who have a very similar voice print throughout, like they use kind of just one voice all the time, but the way they approach each character makes it sound so distinct. So that is a skill.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Right. So ever s- ever since you are on this voice actor path, right? Have you always wanted to become a voice actor? Yeah. Like like when you were a kid, did you write in the paper, saya mau jadi voice actor?
Saya mau jadi voice actor. Well, actually, when you go in standard one, the teacher will ask you, cita-cita kamu. Remember or not? The teacher
Yeah.
will ask you, and then she'll ask you, okay, cita-cita kamu, nombor satu, nombor dua, nombor tiga, like all that stuff, right? Remember or
Yeah.
not? Like they'll ask you, like they'll call you to the front and you have this discussion with the teacher. At least they used to do during my time lah. Okay,
Mhm.
standard one, standard two, standard three. So I remember for the longest time, I always said like the number one thing saya mau jadi ialah pelakon. Like, oh, nombor satu pelakon, nombor dua saintis. Entah kenapa pelakon jadi saintis. Aku pun tak tahu. I have
It's
no
there
idea.
at
I was
least.
very polarizing.
But
And then
at
the
least
third
yeah.
one. Oh, sorry. The third one I want to be archaeologist. Sebab Indiana Jones. No, Jojo. I wanted to be because of Indiana Jones. Okay. Uh, so so when I was standard two and standard three and standard four, right? The second and the third one would change. Whatever movie I watch, right? That time Jurassic Park came out. That's why I wanted to be an archaeologist.
Ah,
1992. And then after
classic.
that. Classic, right? And then
Yeah.
after that, I want to be a veterinarian. Got a lot of things, geologist, all these kind of weirdo kind of thing. Yeah, scientists. But the one thing that always stayed the same was palakon. But I never pursued an acting career because my memory is terrible. I cannot memorize like scripts. I can memorize scenes, like
Uh-huh.
chunks, maybe one or two or three lines at the most.
Oh,
But I cannot remember the entire scene. So fail. Cannot already. Tak boleh jadi.
so
Susah. Okay.
because of that you become voice actor, the next best thing. Like the script is in front
Yeah.
of you all the time.
Yeah. You even if you memorize scripts for voice acting, it's only like one or two lines, You wanna memorize it because maybe you wanna get it into you so that like you say it naturally or something like that. But you don't have to memorize the entire scene. It's all there laid out for you. So
Yeah.
that's why I guess the next best thing is, I mean, for me, because I have really bad memory, was to be a voice actor.
So moving on into your later years, right?
Mhm.
So you first obviously become a voice actor in Malaysia, right? Do
Yes.
you remember how's that like? Like what was your first role ever?
Uh, I was I really wanted to be a voice actor, so I called a whole bunch of recording studios when I was 15, 14 years old. Yeah, I told my parents,
Wow.
I want to do commercials. And they're like, oh, okay lah, you go and pergi buat lah. I was
At
like, okay.
14, what was I doing at 14? I was eating sand.
So, so I looked up recording studios, and I remember the first recording studio I ever called was this place called Ad Audio, which is owned by Patrick Teo. So Ad Audio was usually had like auditions on the weekends, and I just showed up. My mom had to bring me to the audition because I was under 18, so I needed a guardian. So we went for this audition. I said a whole bunch of lines. It was a storybook, I think. I don't remember. And then after that, I booked a hotlink job
Oh.
with Jit Murad.
Oh.
Yeah, I was like, wow, my first commercial ever is a hotlink job with Jit Murad. And I was like, ooh.
Oh, that's a great
And then my
start.
second, yeah, I was like, ooh. And then Ad Audio gave me a whole bunch of other work. So I did hotlink commercials, some Maxis commercials. At that time, Sun Quick was advertising quite heavily. This is like the late 90s lah, okay? So I'm revealing my age. Around 1999, like around that time. DG then also, I did a bunch of ads for DG because like DG wanted to sound very young and they wanted it to be very vibrant. So they were looking for a young, vibrant teenager. Did a lot of skincare stuff. And then what happened was at that time, I moved to the States for school. So I kind of paused my voice acting career for a while in Malaysia because I was in the States. Would do one or two commercials when I was back for holidays, but eventually those jobs got very, very little because I wasn't around in the country anymore. So all the audio houses just like kind of stopped calling me because they knew I was overseas and they were just sick and tired of my mom saying, she's overseas! Hey, she overseas, like, can you please stop calling auntie? So they kind of got the hint because my mom's like not the most patient person. So she's like, my daughter is overseas. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. So, and then so there was like a very like a fairly long pause, and then I came back to Malaysia in the year 2008. I came back. So I left around 2000, and then I came back in 2008. Then after that, I kind of restarted my voice career, I guess. I went back to a lot of the audio houses and say, hey, I'm back. But a lot of things had changed. So yeah, and then it's just figuring out what's happening, what are the trends in commercials, and just reestablishing myself, stuff. And then what was interesting was during that time, a lot of like MDEC, I really, really have to thank MDEC. Because of MDEC, I actually have a animation like voice career. Because MDEC started investing in a lot of animation because of the success of Upin and Ipin. And in 2008, I went for this audition. Actually, now in hindsight, when I think about it, I was like, oh, it actually sounds a bit shady. It was in like somebody's like apartment in a closet. I know it sounds so shady. I know. Not looking back, I'm like, yeah, actually.
That is a little shady, but you know, when compared to your booth, it might become a norm.
Yeah. So, you know, and I went to this audition, but I knew it was legit because the audio house gave me the contact. Because this person used to be from Les Copa, and then they moved over and formed this company called Ani Monster. And I auditioned for the first version of Ying in 2008. And yeah. So, yeah, that was the origin story of both Bobo Boy and I guess my career. So, that was kind of how I started in animation, and then I went back to dubbing. There were a couple of dubs because Disney Channel Malaysia Disney Channel has the BM dub. So during that 2008 to 2012 time, right, there was a lot of Malay dubs. So I was like, okay, I do it, but the pay was not too great. It's like RM50 an episode, no matter how many characters you voice. is RM50 an episode.
So if it's just one character, you untong but if it's like 100
No,
characters,
they will not make you voice one character. They'll make you at least voice 3 characters, minimum 3, in one episode. So you're looking at an hour spent dubbing for 50 ringgit. I was like, oh, I can't do this anymore. It's just not worth the time. It's just not worth my time. It was a very, very good experience, but at the end of the day, I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. It's really, really like, I don't know what it is now. Also because there's not a lot of BM dubs now, since now there's no more Malay dub function in Disney Channel. But with Hotstar Plus, and Netflix, maybe the Malay dubbing rate has increased. I don't know. So
I can see it happening.
yeah, because it's
Yeah.
Hotstar and Netflix, right?
Right.
So maybe
And
there's
maybe we can even, maybe they are even paid by Disney. So
yeah,
who knows? Like,
possibly.
there's a lot of money in there, and there's a lot of money in Netflix.
Yeah, yeah. So, I personally haven't really looked into it, but maybe it's something that I definitely will look into moving forward, like because it's been so many years since I did BM dubbing. Yeah, and there was a lull for a while because Malay dubs stopped on Disney Channel, and then there wasn't anything, and now Netflix and Disney Hotstar Plus are back, and they have Malay dubs. So it's a great time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
There was at one point, like, even in my childhood, like almost everything I watched was in Malay dubbed. At
yeah.
one point, I sincerely believed Doraemon was made by Malaysians because I was so naive.
Bayangkan what?
Yeah, because I didn't
Sorry,
know
I
the
didn't do the
existence of
Doraemon
Japan.
voice.
I was like 8 or 10 years old. I didn't know the existence
Yeah.
of countries outside of Malaysia. I thought the entire earth consists of, Pahang, Sarawak, Selangor. And I legit thought Doraemon was made in Malaysia by Malaysians.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great time for dubbing during that time. So hopefully Malay dubs come back with Netflix and Disney Hotstar.
Yeah, definitely, because our language should be a prominent language in our own country, right?
Yeah, and I love speaking Malay. I like speaking Malay whenever I have the chance. So I'm like, yay.
Uh, Besides voice acting, like, what other hobbies do you have? Like, because voice acting, I suspect it doesn't take up like 9 to 5 days a week of your time, right?
Yeah. Um so I like doing martial arts. I do a martial art called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, in fact my t-shirt is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. See, it's I have like a Lego. He's wearing a gi. You see, it says everything is awesome, like from the Lego movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I love doing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I am a brown belt, which is pretty, I guess it's a pretty high level. um, and I train. Okay, well, before the lockdown happened, because then everything's closed, gyms all closed, no close contact sports and stuff like that, right? I used to train around 6 to 7 times a week, and I used to compete a lot. So I would go to Vietnam, Singapore, Philippines, the US, Japan, just to compete. I was like, I'm pretty addicted to jujitsu.
Wow.
So that's what I do in my free time. I do a lot of jiu-jitsu. I watch anime, obviously. I mean, but I don't know if that is considered hobby because I have to study anime. And I play video games. Like, who doesn't?
So guys, do not mess with Su Ling. She'll be a Jiu-Jitsu champion that can kick your ass while giving you a lot of voice dubs after you landed on your back.
Yeah, don't make me fight you and then give you a Doraemon voice.
That would be so confusing.
I know, right?
Like, okay, there's another question from the chat. Like, is there a routine to warm up your voice, or like does diet affects your voice in any way? Like, like you always hear from
Hmm?
from your elderly where, do not eat a lot of spicy food or your throat will hurt. You know,
Yeah.
like.
Uh Personally for me, I I break all the rules. They say don't drink coffee before a session. I'm like, I have a 6 a.m. session. I need the coffee. So too bad. I take coffee and everything. But how I warm up for my 6 a.m. sessions is I have let me see if I have it here. Oh no, I don't have it here. It's outside. I use a singing straw. It's and you all can look it up. It's straw phonation. So it's SOVT exercises. So I like to warm up with straw phonation exercises. It's like a straw, and then you blow through the straw, and you sing through the straw. And it helps warm up the throat. The other thing which I also don't have here is do you remember Vicks inhaler? The inhaler, like the Vicks, yeah, I swear by that. Like I'm always like taking Vicks inhaler and just like it's sad that I don't have it in my booth. I don't know where it is. Yeah, but yeah, I those are the two things that I usually do to warm up for my 6 a.m. sessions. Actually, three things: coffee, my SOVT exercises with my singing straw, and a Vicks inhaler. Never underestimate a Vicks inhaler. It really opens up the sinuses.
Really? I know it is definitely useful for when I have a cold, but I didn't know it can be used that way.
Yeah, it wakes you up and it makes your sinuses clear. So the SOVT would handle the voice, but I have sinus issues, so I usually take an antihistamine before a session and maybe a nasal spray, and also this inhaler really keeps the passages open during my sessions.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but even if you don't have sinus issues, it really wakes you up, and it makes the passages clear so that everything sounds pretty like clear and open instead of nasal and closed up.
What about ubat cap ibu dan anak?
Oh, Rajab, Ibu dan anak. Yeah. So, I know, it's so funny because, okay, just off a slight tangent, right? So I started interacting with the international voice acting community like last year. And then everybody's talking about this ninjom. And I'm like, ninjom ah? Mele ge ninjom? Because, we call it pepako, We don't call it ninjom. And I'm like, what is ninjom? And then I was like, I already know it's pepako or cap ibu dan anak. And then I was like, oh, this is ninjom. And then I realized that everywhere in the world, I guess overseas, they call it ninjom. Actually, in Hong Kong, it's also not called ninjom. It's called pepako. So, yeah.
Pepako should be the original name.
Yeah.
Is it?
Kingdong. It's a very long name. Kingdong Ninjingam Chunboi Bebako.
Yeah.
Kingdong Ninjingam Chunboi Bebako, like some long ass name. And here we call it Cap Ibu dan Anak, right? Ubah Batok Cap Ibu dan Anak. That is actually really, really good. I like to drink it after a session though. I don't really drink it before a session because it's a bit sticky, so it makes my throat a bit sticky, but it's really nice after a session. It cools down the throat. And then, if you stir it with hot water, you can actually make it into leong sui because it's like, it's supposed to be able to be leong sui lah, because it's like it's herbs and everything. It actually doesn't really contain medicine, even though it's called ubat batok. It doesn't really have any medicinal chemicals in it, so you can actually just dilute it in hot water and you can just drink it. So sometimes when I go to the studio and I know that it's going to be a long session, or if I have like 2 studio bookings in a day, I would dilute pepako and put it in here and be like, okay, drink it in between sessions when I'm going in between studios.
So
that helps.
So it's Vicks before a session and pepako after a session.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So there's another question, like, what are the harsh realities that every new VO need to accept and adapt to?
Ooh.
Like we already talked about the budget side. Other than your mics and your glass, that is on the physical side. So what about the mental side for new VOs that is like trying to come into the scene?
Okay. That is a very, very good question. And I think okay, so the harsh okay, so this is kind of harsh reality lah. Okay, I'm gonna assume that most people are watching are Malaysians, so we address the harsh reality for Malaysians, and then maybe harsh reality for international audience, like it's global and everyone can relate to. So the harsh reality for Malaysians is that we have a very strange accent. Like naturally, our native accent is something that a lot of foreigners have no idea. They think it's Uncle Roger or Michelle Yeoh or whatever. They don't even know, So they are not used to our accent. So unfortunately, if you do not have a very neutral accent and it sounds very it's a very thick accent, the kind of roles that you're gonna get cast for remote jobs is gonna be quite low lah, because the demand for it is not very high. So, I mean, to get a Malaysian accented job is already like in 1 year, I have only seen 3 casting calls out of the 700 I did for a Malaysian accent. 3. The rest of it is like maybe generic Asian accent. So okay lah, maybe you can change your Malaysian accent to sound a bit Asian-y.
Wait, what is generic Asian?
Actually, I also don't know. When they put Asian accent, aku pun tak tahu. Apa ni Asian accent?
What do they mean generic Asian?
I don't know.
Easily 10 countries in Southeast Asia alone. Like, what do you mean generic?
I don't know, but I've seen it. I've seen like Asian accent. I'm like, okay, cool. I guess that means Malaysian. True. Sure, let's throw the hat in.
Like, it could be like Chinese accent, Japanese accent, Thai accent, Indian accent. We are all Asians. Like
exactly. So I don't know. So whenever I see Asian accent, I'm like, okay, I just gonna just throw Malaysian accent in, Malaysian or Singaporean accent in. Okay. So the harsh reality is that for Malaysian and I guess by across the causeway to Singaporeans, our accent is it's not very familiar to a lot of people. A lot of people have probably heard a Vietnamese accent, a Filipino accent, or an Indonesian accent, or Thai accent even more than they have heard a Malaysian accent. Because when I was living in the States, people didn't even know where Malaysia was at all. So they're not very familiar with that accent. So you have to be able to act in a neutral manner, and it's something that I always tell a lot of Malaysian voiceover talent that if they want to pursue remote jobs, they have to learn a little bit more of a neutral accent, or the most common accent that everybody is asking for is an American accent. So you have to be able to do a pretty convincing American accent in order to book a lot of the roles. If not, you would be quite limited to what you can audition. And you have to,
That's very unfortunate.
Yeah, so that is one of the harsh realities. If you cannot master the American accent yet, then the kind of jobs that the auditions that you have open to you is quite low lah. And honestly, if the specs already say, oh, okay, American accent, then if you put in a Malaysian accent, they're going to be like, wow, dah lah tak pernah dengar this accent. I asked for American accent and I don't know what I got. So and the thing is, it's not just about accent, because accent is one thing, but it's also like inflection. The way Americans inflect words is very different from the way we inflect words, and you have to be able to do it very comfortably. Like for me, I can totally like go into an American accent like super easy, because I used to live in the States, so it's pretty easy for me to switch between an American accent and then a Malaysian accent, because then and you have to be comfortable. You have to be comfortable, and you have to have the ability to switch between these dialects, because then when you're acting, it has to come out naturally. Because, if you're dubbing, especially if you're dubbing for an American show, you have to sound American. I mean, in a way, you have to sound at least not like, you can't really sound too foreign to their ears, because an American dub is for an American market. I mean, if you have aspirations to dub for Funimation, you kind of have to sound a little bit like an American. I mean, there's just no two ways to go about that. There's just no two ways going about that. Yeah. So the ability to switch between dialects is pretty important. And I guess that's one of my strengths. So anyway, we go back to being Malaysian, but so that's kind of the harsh reality in the sense like, you know, as a Malaysian voice talent trying to make it into the international world, that's one of the things that I tell people. That's kind of the things that it's a harsh reality. Okay, so that's all for the Malaysians. For the for the rest of the people who already have an American accent who are watching or whatever, or have a very neutral accent, the other harsh reality is that this industry is the rejection rate is like so high. So remember I auditioned around 800 auditions, right?
Yeah.
Guess how many roles I booked out of 800 auditions?
At least half? Being optimistic here.
No, no,
One third?
no.
100?
Wow, that's actually pretty good, but no. Single digit way. Like
Huh?
literally the booking rate that I had is about 8%. And 8% is pretty high.
That's
Like there are
high.
people there are people who book anywhere between 10 to 5 to even 2%. So this market, this industry is super competitive. Like super, super competitive. Remember, I did 800 over auditions, and I only booked 8% of them. And that is the reality. Like even Roger Craig Smith, who I think is the voice of Sonic, I think. Yeah. He himself also tweeted in a post that his booking rate is, I think, somewhere around single digits as well. For somebody like him. Because the competition is so fierce.
Wow, isn't like
So
getting to Harvard easier than than doing a voice acting job?
probably that's why I think people who have been in this industry for a very long time are made of I don't know what. They're made of something special because to face this rejection day after day, year after year is like crazy. And okay, so let me go start a bit lah. Okay, this rejection rate is only for remote voice acting. Okay, it does not apply to the Malaysian market. The Malaysian market is a very funny market. As in, like, you don't even need to audition for stuff. A lot of clients will just book you based on your samples and they will just call you into the studio when you have a job. So sometimes you don't even know when you were considered for something because you didn't even audition for it. So Malaysian market is one of the few markets that you don't have to audition for an ad ever. They will just call you and they will just say, hey, Su Ling, are you free at this time to record for something? Then I look, okay, free. Okay, come. Yeah, so the Malaysian voice industry is very lucky from that perspective. As in, like,
Like getting
sorry.
entry in Malaysia is relatively easy.
Oh,
As
and
long
into
as
the
you into the voice acting market. Okay. Is that right for me to assume? Like when
yes
compared to
and
America.
yes and no lah, I would have to say, because in Malaysia the commercial world is quite ruled by a lot of veterans because a lot of the ad agencies like to go back to the same talents that they always work with frequently. And there is a specific kind of accent that is required when you do Malaysian commercials. So if you don't have that accent, then the likelihood of you getting cast is also not very high. And and it's weird because I don't know where this accent came from, but nobody speaks like this in Malaysia. But it is so popular in commercials that okay, let me just do an example for you, and you'll be like, oh yeah, I hear this on the radio all the time, right? It's like new Kotex Soft and Smooth gives you the best leakage protection. 95% of women agreed. Now improved with new anti-leak channels. Try it today. Kan?
Yeah.
That is the accent that you.
That is
Yeah,
the
exactly.
most common one. But we
Yeah,
don't
all-
speak like that.
We don't speak like that at all. I also don't know who came up with this accent, but it is the accent that's on radio. And then the other version of this accent is hiding acne behind emojis. New Safi Acne Solutions controls oily skin, heals acne, and fades scars. No more hiding with Safi. Yeah. I know you're laughing because you're like, oh my god, I have heard you on radio. So yeah, I know. It's this accent. I don't know. I have no idea. Or the other accent is this one. What does it take for a nation to always be ahead? To keep going even when the going gets tough. At Maxis, we will always be ahead.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where all these accents came from. I have no idea why the commercials sound like this, but that's what clients want in the Malaysian market. So if you cannot master these three types of accents in English, it's gonna be quite tough lah.
Now when I turn on the radio, I hear this advertisement, your face is gonna pop up. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's like change channel quickly.
Yeah, so I would say to break into the Malaysian market is also a bit tough in that sense. Like for English at least, you have to sound like that. If you don't quite sound like that, like all the radio commercials that you hear on TV and YouTube and radio and all that, then unfortunately the chances of a client casting you is quite slim. Because they want that specific read, they want that specific accent. Yeah. So yeah. And I don't know how else to teach like new generations to do it, because it's just I don't know why, I don't know how the industry ended up like this, but it kind of did.
I guess that's what the client wants. Or we just have to change the mindset of the people that's currently running the show in Malaysia right now.
Yeah, but until then, that's how English radio commercials are gonna sound like.
Yeah, it's such a norm that when you speak those three lines out, it's like listening to the radio.
Right? And it blows my mind because nobody in Malaysia speaks like this. Like seriously, nobody.
Yeah, not even like the Guailos that came over. They never speak like that. Like seriously, where did it come from?
I have no idea. I really have no idea where it came from. But oh well. So yeah. Where were we before we went off this strange tangent? Oh yes, the harsh realities. Yeah, rejection rate's pretty high for remote jobs. All I can say is 加油, or, you know, 加油, or 頑張って, don't give up. And just audition and have fun. I think if you stop having fun when you're doing this, then you won't do it for very much longer.
Right, because the rejection rate is so high that you need to enjoy the work in order to keep doing this.
Correct. So for me, remote work is really like a pure enjoyment for me. It's like, you know, catharsis, call it like you know, it's like release, you know, release stress, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so and pure enjoyment, so things like that, you know. So I don't mind doing like 800 over auditions because I enjoy it. So I think you have to be able to find the enjoyment in the process, or you're not going to be able to do that. Not going to be able to do that many lah.
Right, so like for all of you aspiring voice actor out there, now you know like you have a pretty solid base on where to start from, right? Practice the 3 English Malaysian accent, then practice the actual American accent.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on what market you want to go in. If you want to do remote voice acting, that would be where I would suggest you to focus your efforts. If you want to break into Malaysian commercials and corporate videos, that would be my suggestion. I do run a Discord with my friend Lilia. Like it's called the Malaysian and Singaporean actors. Oh shoot, I can't remember what my Discord. Oh my gosh, I don't remember what our Lilia's gonna kill me. Let me go and see what it's called. Ayo, Daila, she's gonna kill me. I cannot even remember our server name. See, this is why I never become actor. Cannot even remember server name. What is our server name? Malaysia and Singapore voice actors. Wow, like that I also cannot remember. Jialat weh. I'm so jialat. Yeah, Malaysian and Singapore voice actors. So you can you can join our server. We do workouts. I'm very accessible if, like, you have a question about voice acting, technical questions like how to set up your booth and things like that. We Some of the members are really good at posting remote job casting calls. Like Joshua is amazing. It's like he finds all these casting calls all over Twitter and the VAC Discord and just posts them in our little server. So I would recommend any aspiring or even experienced Malaysian and Singaporean voice actors who want to find more remote work to come join our Discord.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
I will definitely join one day. Wait.
Yeah. Oh yeah. How do you find this Discord? Follow me on Twitter. Promo time. So you can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com Su Chan VA. Oh my god, I said Chan the American way. I'm gonna kill myself. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so follow my Twitter. Twitter.com/Su Chan VA. And in my bio there is a link to my Discord. The
Right, there you
Discord
have
server.
it,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Right, thanks, Su Ling, for chatting with us today. It was a very insightful session. There are so
Thank you,
many
thank
things
you.
that we don't know about in terms of the voice acting world. It's really a niche career path, I would say. Like I legit only know one voice actor, and I'm speaking to you right now.
Well, you know Steven, right? Steven Bones.
Oh, sorry, Steven.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And the other
Oh, yeah.
Alfred as well. Oh,
Yeah,
I met
exactly.
him. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys.
Ayo, somehow you met him. Ayo, upcham lah you. Just kidding.
So, guys, that's it
So,
for from us for today. Thanks for joining us. And if you want to catch this VOD, we'll be uploading it to YouTube, and where you can, rewatch and get all her advice again, or you can find her in Twitter and Discord, and you can chat with her personally to get some advice and practice advice.
mhm.
So, is there any last words would you like to shout out to our viewers?
No, just thank you for so much for your support. Thank you for watching this. If you reached all the way to the end, thank you for spending, like, I don't know,
An
how long
hour?
is this?
An
An
hour?
hour of your time to just listen to whatever I'm saying. So I'm so grateful and thank you, and so thankful and grateful for that. Yeah, and just keep swimming. That's all I gotta say.
Okay.
All
Thanks,
right.
Suling.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.